Over 100 people were shot in Chicago last weekend, and when the mayor of the Windy City was asked to explain the shocking and constant bloodshed in his streets, he placed the blame squarely at the feet of Richard Nixon.
Black death has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson, and we ended up with Richard Nixon. I'm going to work hard every day to transform this city. That's what it takes to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago, and I need everybody to step up.
Richard Nixon left the White House 50 years ago. Since he left office, there have been 4 Democrat presidents across 6 presidential terms, and the city of Chicago has been governed by Democrats for 93 years. But the president's state of Chicago is not, according to the current mayor, the fault of any of them. It is the fault of a Republican from California who died 30 years ago. But no one really believes that, probably including the mayor of Chicago, who simply doesn't want to take responsibility for his particular failures and for the failures of his party. It's just the best argument they've got. We hear the same nonsense from Democrats at the national level. All their failures are really Trump's fault, or Bush's fault, or Reagan's fault, or now apparently Richard Nixon's fault. Next, it will be Chester Arthur's fault, and then perhaps Abraham Lincoln's fault. But it isn't, and people know it isn't. And if these are the best arguments that Democrats are making, led by a president who probably knew Abraham Lincoln personally, the people will not be persuaded otherwise between now and November. I'm Michael Knowles. This is The Michael Knowles Show. Big Tech is gunning for the DailyWire. It's not just me telling you that because I have some sense of what's going on in the company. That is from a report that came out of the House Judiciary Committee. There's going to be a huge hearing on this subject today. It's very important to the left that places like our outlet here, the DailyWire, are shut down or severely hampered from spreading our message and communicating with people up through the 2024 election. And Republican members of Congress, specifically the Judiciary Committee, are doing a great job today to shed some light on that. We will do that in just a moment. First, though, speaking of shedding light, you need to get your Sicilian summer candle, baby. Let's go. It's back in stock. We sold out very quickly. Thecandleclub.com. That's where you go. You got to put the "the" in there. Thecandleclub.com. You get that nice, juicy, citrusy, little limoncello Sorrento smell, or Palermo smell, I guess, if it's Sicilian summer. You also get Wise Man, PSL, Chem de la Chem, Old Soul. You could also get the Mayflower line of candles, beautiful candles in very ornate colored glass jars. They're just really marvelous. Thecandleclub.com. That's how you can ramp up your home. And when you want to ramp up your business, you got to check out Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Knowles. When you are running a business, time is money, honey. That is why I'm so excited to introduce you to Ramp. If you are a finance professional looking for a better way to maximize productivity and cut wasteful spending, Ramp could be for you. Ramp is a corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money back in your pocket. With Ramp, you can issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions. You can also stop wasting time at the end of every month by automating your expense reporting. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time, so you don't have to. You will never have to chase down a receipt again, and your employees will no longer spend hours submitting expense reports. The time that you save each month on employee expenses will allow you to close your books 8 times faster. Ramp is so easy to use. Get started in less than 15 minutes, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000. Now, get $250 when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Knowles. ramp.com/Knowles. That is ramp.com/Knowles. Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. The Democrats are bringing out the big guns right now. Not the corpse of Richard Nixon, which is what they're dragging out to try to explain away their failures in the city of Chicago. The Democrats realize they have got nothing, especially at the national level. They can't run on Joe Biden's 3 years in office. They can't run on any of their particular policy positions right now. They can't even really run against Trump because everybody knows Trump. Everyone's known Trump for 40 years, but everyone's known Trump even in politics because he was already the president and things were a lot better under him. So they're looking at the polls. They see Biden is senile. They see he flopped in the debate. They see his numbers, which were already bad, continue to decline. So they want him out, but he doesn't want to get out. So they keep trying to push him out. He's not taking the bait. Now they are leaking that Joe Biden has Parkinson's. That's the insinuation. A Parkinson's doctor visited the White House some 10 or 12 times over the course of 20 months. Now on MSNBC, we've got breaking news. A Parkinson's expert goes on to say that it is clear as day Joe Biden has the disease.
Have you noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Oh, yeah, I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemino dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of end block turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold, hypophonia. A small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall.
This guy could have diagnosed Biden's Parkinson's from across the mall. It's so obvious. Well, then why didn't you? Why didn't anyone on the liberal media admit this at any point over the last 3 years? All of these signs that suddenly have shocked Democrats, all of these signs have been visible for years now. The slow speech and the low tone and the rigidity and the forgetting words. And you saw that journalist try to explain it away with the old excuse that the Democrats came up to make up for Biden's senility. They said, oh, well, he had that childhood stutter. And then the doctor laughs. He says, a childhood stutter? You're old and you're blaming his obvious senility on a childhood stutter? What's the matter with you? And then the journalist backs down because it's so absurd. But if it's absurd today, why wasn't it absurd 3 years ago? I misspoke earlier when I said this was MSNBC. This is just NBC News. This is even more mainstream. This should be even more buttoned up. And yet now it's all open. Oh, no, it's so clear Biden has Parkinson's. Well, how come when conservatives said this exact thing 3 years ago, you called us all crazy conspiracy theorists and maniacs and irresponsible and reckless? What has changed? What's changed is Joe Biden looked like he could beat Donald Trump, so long as you changed all the voting rules, in 2020, and he doesn't look like he can beat Trump now. They could try to rig the thing 10 ways from Sunday. It doesn't look like there's any way for Joe Biden to beat Trump now. So party leaders in the political apparatus, but also in the media, also these propagandists, also the campaign flags, they're all trying to get Biden out. And these are the big guns. When you say the guy's brain is decaying, there's no way to walk that back, which is why this is basically a game of chicken between the White House, between Biden and the Democrat establishment. The Democrat establishment is saying, we're going to keep criticizing you and attacking you until you feel that you couldn't beat Trump and you have to step out. And Biden is saying, oh yeah, well, I'm going to stay in. And I'm going to keep doubling down, and I have the delegates, and I'm going to put you in a position that there's no way that you can get me out. And then you're going to lose because you've made me unelectable. No, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. And they're just in this game of chicken right now. Parkinson's, that's the big gun. But don't fool yourself into thinking that the Democrats are bringing this up based on some new information. If it's so obvious that you could diagnose Biden across the mall, then they could have diagnosed Biden across the mall 3 years ago. They chose not to. Now they're getting desperate because they want him out. Leaves the White House in a terrible spot. The White House has now officially been caught lying. Two articles here. Both came out yesterday. NBC News. Biden has not seen neurologist outside annual physicals, White House doctor says in letter addressing Parkinson's expert visits. You remember yesterday, I played the clip of Karine Jean-Pierre being smarter than this White House doctor. And Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, is Biden seeing a neurologist? This neurologist came 10 times, a dozen times. What's going on with the president's brain? She goes, Joe Biden, the president, has seen a neurologist at each of his annual physicals. That's 3 visits with a neurologist. He's seen a neurologist 3 times. And I thought this was a clever answer because I'm sure he has seen the neurologist 3 times. I'm sure he's also seen the neurologist 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 times. To say he's seen a doctor 3 times does not mean he hasn't seen the doctor 4 times. If you've seen the doctor 4 times, you've also seen the doctor 3 times. To say, oh, he goes at the annual physical, that's true. It doesn't mean he doesn't go some other time of the year. So this White House doctor takes it further. They tell this to the press, but then the Associated Press, same day, says President Biden saw a neurologist at the White House on January 17th for a neurological exam, the results of which were later reported as part of his annual physical more than a month later. Hold on. The reports of Biden's annual physical came out something like February 28th. You're telling me he saw this neurologist on January 17th. Now you're telling me that's part of his annual physical? Came out a month later? What is that? You might say, well, it was a really long physical. Yeah, it was a 6-week long physical. No, yeah, maybe he saw a neurologist. Who knows? Maybe last October, but that's all part of the annual physical. They only release 1 report on the president's health per year. Okay, well, it's obvious he's seen the neurologist more than just within the context of his physical. And I've served as a political spokesman before on political campaigns. You always want to spin for your candidate. You always want to present your candidate in the best light. But if you're good at it, there is one big no-no. There is one big rule that you got to follow, and that is don't lie to the press. Don't put yourself in a position where you are going to be exposed for having obviously lied. 1, because it's immoral, but 2, you're going to look ridiculous and you're going to lose all your credibility. And that's what happened to the White House. Absolutely no credibility on this. And the journalists usually don't care. They'll usually just carry water for whoever the Democrat president is. But we're in a particular strange moment right now where the Democrat establishment is at war with the Democrat figurehead, with the nominee of the Democrat Party. And so in that rare context, and they're only at war, by the way, because the Democrat establishment has lost faith in the Democrat nominee. They want to replace him with someone who's more likely to win. But don't think that now all of a sudden these journalists are doing their jobs out of their deep sense of integrity and speaking truth to power. No. They're only doing their jobs now because Joe Biden won't fold. Joe Biden has wanted to be president since he was in the womb. He's not giving it up because George Stephanopoulos wants him to. And we'll get to that. George Stephanopoulos, who conducted that long interview with Biden just the other day, he just got caught on a hidden camera giving his real opinion of what's going on. We'll get to that in one moment. First, though, speaking of saving you all sorts of trouble, you ought to check out Kudos. Go to joinkudos.com, use code Knowles. What if there were an easy way to turn every purchase into free travel? Meet Kudos, your new favorite browser extension. It is a free AI-powered smart wallet that helps you unlock more rewards and benefits from your credit cards when you shop online. Kudos automatically picks the best card to use at over 2 million stores to guarantee you will always earn the highest rewards, points, or cash back. With their partnership with the Points Guy, no more wasting time searching for the best offer. Kudos helps you discover new credit cards and gives you access to the best sign-up bonuses available. Plus, with Kudos, you never have to fill out your credit card info ever again. Kudos makes shopping super easy by autofilling your card info with just one click. Think of Kudos as Apple Pay, Honey, and NerdWallet all in one. And the best part? Kudos is totally free. So if you are ready to start turning every purchase into more rewards, click the link below or visit joinkudos.com and sign up with code Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, to get $20 back after your first eligible purchase. That is joinkudos.com, code Knowles. Start getting more out of your credit cards with Kudos. George Stephanopoulos. George Stephanopoulos is a major news anchor, but more importantly, George Stephanopoulos was the White House communications director under Bill Clinton. He conducted this long interview with Biden the other day. Now, some random guy in the streets walking up, secretly filming him, runs into Stephanopoulos, says, "Hey, man, you just talked to Biden. Do you think he should drop out?"
Excuse me. Hey, how you doing? Good. What do you think? Do you think Biden should step down? You talk to him more than anybody else have lately, and you could be honest. Serve 4 more years. You don't think he can serve 4 more years? All right, that's an answer.
And Stephanopoulos keeps walking. And he didn't see, you can see Stephanopoulos, you only see him on camera there at the end from the back. So it's unclear if it even is George Stephanopoulos. But we know it is because Stephanopoulos and his employer both acknowledged it. ABC News released a statement about this. Earlier today, says Stephanopoulos, I responded to a question from a passerby. I shouldn't have. And then ABC News says, George expressed his own point of view, not the position of ABC News. Now, part of me is wondering, but probably it was just some random guy in the street asks him, it leaks, it's a little bit embarrassing. But the way that the Democrat establishment is coming out so hard, they're throwing everything they can to get Biden out of this race right now. Part of me wonders if that passerby wasn't just a little bit too convenient to have yet another voice who, George Stephanopoulos would never come out on his show and say, I think Biden should drop out of the race on television. But was this a strategic leak? I don't know. Again, simplest answer is Stephanopoulos just got caught on a hidden camera. But political operators have been known in the past to strategically leak information that looks accidental. Why does it matter that Stephanopoulos did this? As I mentioned, it's not just because he's a very prominent news anchor and establishment journalist. He was the top propagandist for a Democrat president of the United States. He was the White House communications director. He knows what he's talking about. He does not believe that Biden can serve another 4 years. In a way, some people think George Stephanopoulos doesn't have a lot of credibility as a journalist because he made his career as a propagandist for the Democrat Party. But on this question, at least to me, that bolsters his credibility. The guy knows what he's talking about. And he's right. There is no way that Joe Biden could do the job for another 4 years. I don't know that he's doing the job now. He probably is not. So you're seeing this reflected in the polling. A poll just came out, shows that Trump beats Joe Biden today pretty significantly. But that same poll shows that Kamala Harris is doing better than Biden. That same poll shows that Hillary Clinton is doing better than Biden. And that same poll shows that Kamala and Hillary both would beat Donald Trump in a head-to-head matchup. Poll conducted by Ben Shapiro and Amandi, shared exclusively with Politico. Obviously, this is a poll designed to lead to a political outcome, which is Biden dropping out of the race. So do I really buy it? It's a little convenient. I certainly buy that Trump is beating Biden right now. Do I buy that Kamala Harris beats Trump? Do I buy that Hillary beats Trump? I do not. Right now, the poll shows Biden 42, Trump 43. So it's, within the margin of error. Kamala running ahead of Trump 42 to 41. Hillary beating Trump 43 to 41. Even if the poll methodology is totally on the up and up, that's nonsense. That's totally nonsense. Kamala Harris couldn't beat anybody. That's why Kamala Harris was the first out in the Democrat primary in 2020. She hasn't gotten better politically since then. Since then, all she's done is cackle and fall into gaffes and repeat that one weird line. We must move into the future unburdened by what has been. We must dream of what could be, unburdened by what has been. That's that line. That's the only thing she says. It's a total joke. She can't beat Trump. She can't beat anybody. Can Hillary beat Trump? No. We actually know for a fact Hillary can't beat Trump. She lost to Trump. So candidates poll better when they're not in a race. This is one of the allures for candidates to get into the race. No one's really been attacking Hillary for now, 7 years? So Hillary's poll numbers go up, but the minute you start turning the attack machine on her again, those poll numbers crater. Kamala, no one even thinks about Kamala Harris. The minute you start putting a spotlight on her again, her poll numbers are going to crater. Biden probably is the Democrats' best shot. And you don't need to take my word for it. Even Kamala's own staff knows this is nonsense. There was an article came out yesterday written by a former staffer for Kamala's presidential campaign in 2020 who says, look, I love I love Kamala. Getting that job on her campaign was a dream come true. However, an automatic coronation of Harris would be a grave mistake if Biden drops out. The number 2 spot has never been a guarantee of promotion to the top job. Only 6 vice presidents have been elevated to the presidency via an election. 12 have run and lost. Twice as likely to lose if you're the vice president than you are to win. 5 have even failed to get their party's endorsement, yet some are arguing Harris's nomination should be a fait accompli if Biden steps aside. Primary campaigns are tests, and Harris, who ultimately dropped out before the Iowa caucus, failed hers. That doesn't mean she can never be president. Many unsuccessful presidential candidates have performed better in a subsequent campaign, but they had to beat out the other candidates. I think that this staffer is totally right here. I think Kamala is mostly a joke. It's not that Republicans should be totally complacent, but Republicans should be feeling pretty good right now. We have the Democrats on the ropes. I know some doomer Republicans want to believe constantly that everything's always lost and Democrats are always playing 17D chess and they've always got another trick up their sleeve. But I think they are genuinely in crisis right now. They don't know what to do. They lied to us for a long time. They covered up Joe Biden's obvious senility that everybody could see. And now they got caught with their pants down because Biden made a risky offer to debate Donald Trump, hoping that Trump would argue over the rules and they wouldn't have to debate. Trump accepted all of the rules that Biden proposed, and Biden suffered rigor mortis on stage. And now they don't know what to do. So I'm feeling pretty good if I'm a Republican. Until I turn to Capitol Hill, because another ironclad rule of politics, never underestimate Republicans' ability to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. I like Mike Johnson. He seems like a good guy. He's got a lot of great priorities in order and everything. I don't mean to. Mike Johnson has just come out and said that the 25th Amendment to remove Biden from office, and then obviously remove him from running again, might be warranted here. He's asked if he's supporting Chip Roy's resolution to call on VP Harris to remove Biden via the 25th Amendment. I love Chip Roy. I think he's a great congressman. Here again, I gotta... What's the argument here? Well, according to Mike Johnson, there's a time to every purpose under heaven. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I think the 25th Amendment is appropriate here. 1, Mike Johnson and Chip Roy are right. The 25th Amendment would be called for. It would be justifiable to remove the president from office for mental incapacitation. It would be. And 2, and I can't stress this enough, shut up. Shut up. What? I say this out of love. I like these guys very much. But what? We've got a potatoes, I guess. The POTUS potato is sitting there in the Oval Office. He obviously hasn't been a particularly active president at all during his administration. And now everyone knows it. And the Republican is going to beat him pretty much any way you slice it right now. And all we need to do is just get to November with Biden as the nominee. Biden's not even officially the Democrat nominee yet. Don't forget, he hasn't officially been nominated by his party, which will happen probably sometime in late July, then be celebrated in late August at the Democrat National Convention. All we have to do is just keep Joe Biden alive and on the ticket. And there are Republicans who want him to step down. I get it. I know it's and I understand. We'll get into some of the arguments as to why they want to do that. But God, just because you're right in principle doesn't mean you should be saying it out loud, guys. We're so close to winning. What are we doing? If we kept Biden on the ticket, probably you wouldn't sleep well at night from the perspective of national security, but you would sleep well at night from the perspective of the election. And if you want to sleep well every night, you got to check out Helix. Go to helixsleep.com/Knowles. I love my Helix. Really, the whole Knowles household loves our Helixes because my little boy, who within the last year has moved into his big boy bed. Do you know what he's sleeping on? He's sleeping on a Helix. I hope I don't spoil him. I have had my Helix for some years now. Absolutely love it. You will too. Helix has a quiz that takes 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress. With Helix, you are getting a mattress that will be perfect for you. Helix has soft, medium, and firm mattresses to choose from. All their mattresses are great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. They're also great for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains. They even have a Helix Plus mattress for plus-sized sleepers. Go to helixsleep.com/Knowles. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. They will match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Helix has a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights, risk-free. They also offer financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/Knowles, K-N-W-L-E-S. That is helixsleep.com/Knowles. This is their best offer yet. It won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. In defense of Mike Johnson and Chip Roy, the reason I think they're saying that it's time to invoke the 25th Amendment is because, putting aside the 2024 election, Biden is the president right now, but he can't really be the president right now. So what happens? Joe Biden goes to bed. He watches an episode of Matlock. He goes to bed at 6 p.m. What happens if Russia or China or someone launches a nuke after 8 p.m.? Who's going to answer that call? Here's what White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has to say.
Well, he also said he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people. He has someone that is decided, obviously, with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
That he has a team. Okay, yeah, I'm sure he has a team, but the answer that KJP should have used here is, if a nuke starts flying at 11 p.m., we call the president, and the president makes a decision, and he can make a decision. He's totally able to, and you're blowing this all out of proportion, and he's the decider, and he's the president. He's in charge of the White House. She doesn't say that, and she can't say that, because we don't have a president right now. We have a team. The president is effectively incapacitated, and there is a team of people around him. And some are saying that team is led by Jill Biden. Some are saying that team is led by Hunter Biden. Boy, doesn't that ease your anxieties? Some are saying the team is led by, I don't know, the NSC or the White House Chief of Staff or this person or that. Who knows? Barack Obama. I don't know. Anybody in the Democrat establishment. Somebody's running. And obviously isn't Joe Biden, because Joe Biden can't speak anymore. I understand why that would give some Republicans pause and call on them to invoke the 25th Amendment. However, the government has obviously been run this way for the last 3 years. It's been bad, but it's been bad toward the extreme, but still within the normal confines of Democrat policy. Bad foreign policy that leads to more war abroad, mass migration. That's been a Democrat policy, at least since Obama now. Trying to rig the elections. They've been doing that a long time now, too. Bad economic policies. Democrats have had those since forever. I think Karine Jean-Pierre is right. There's a team of Democrat establishment flacks who are running the White House right now. I'm not convinced that by invoking the 25th Amendment, you put Kamala Harris in place, that would make Americans any safer. It would probably make us significantly less safe. And it would perhaps make us less likely to win the election. While I believe that Joe Biden is still, oddly enough, the strongest Democrat, there's more unpredictability when it comes to someone like Kamala Harris or anyone else that the Democrats could nominate. And there's not a ton of unpredictability with Joe Biden. We've known Joe Biden since 1972. He hasn't changed. He's not going to change, other than he's going to remain in an accelerating decline. And his poll numbers are going to remain in a decline. Republicans, I'm imploring you, do not clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. Leave the man. Can you please just leave the man on the ballot? When the alternative is replacing him with Kamala Harris, who would probably be worse than the current cadaver in the Oval Office, just leave him there. Leave him till November. Let us win. We can win. It's okay. We can take the win. It's not too bad. Who is running the country? Not Andy McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy, the former Republican Speaker of the House, has just come out and spilled a little bit of tea. He seems to think it's the First Lady.
I will tell you, it's much different of why I know that they're going to stay in this race. Jill doesn't want to leave either. Many times when we had meetings in the Oval Office, Jill was there as well.
Interesting. Wait, so the First Lady was in some of your meetings about policy?
Many times Jill would come in. There was one time when I'd sit there and the president said something on this famous tour down to the pool, saying, do you want to go outside? Jill turns very quickly when she hears that and says, no, they don't want to go outside, because she knew exactly what position he was in and what he was doing. And then he just turns around. You don't want to go outside? And then let us outside. Many times, I don't think she's there for policy. I think she's there to give him comfort and direct the meetings.
Well, I think that's a charitable and probably accurate take from Kevin McCarthy. I don't think she's power hungry. I don't think she wants to run for president herself. She just knows that her husband is incapacitated, and she's trying to help him out. She's actually just being a good wife, probably. This has happened before. This exact thing has happened before. October 2nd, 1919. Picture it. Back in time. President Woodrow Wilson has a stroke. It's a very serious stroke. He's left paralyzed on his left side. I think he's left partially blind. And he's bedridden. And the only people who could regularly see him were his wife and his doctor. And so his wife, Edith Wilson, was effectively the president. Some people refer to her as the first woman president in America. That's exactly what's happening here. In a way, that should give you a little bit of comfort, you know? Woodrow Wilson was maybe the most disastrous president we've ever had, perhaps until Joe Biden. But it's happened before. And it's happening again. And the Democrats have known, the elite Democrats have known that it's been happening for a long time. Imagine, you're in these Oval Office meetings, and the president's wife is there, and the president's wife is contradicting the president or whispering into his ear. The circle around Biden knew this. The senior White House staff obviously knew this. They are lying to you when they say, we didn't realize how far gone he was. No, they did. They were just hoping you would never notice so that they and their little team could continue to run the country. And now they're going to say, oh, no, hey, Republicans, do our dirty work for us and, call for the invocation of the 25th Amendment. Nope. You made your bed. You should lie in it, and we should have a new president come January. Now, who else is running the country? Turn away from Washington for just a moment. Big tech is running the country because we have a constitutional republic, and in a republic, the way that you govern yourself is through speech. You persuade one another, you campaign, you lobby, you garner votes, you win elections, and you pass laws. That's how it's supposed to work. So in a republic in particular, whoever controls the public square controls politics. And right now, it's about three big companies that control the public square. Facebook, Google, Twitter, I guess, X, to some degree. It's a bit smaller. A few other players in there, but it's pretty much it. Google and Facebook are the two really big players. And we at the Daily Wire have many times seen Facebook and Google especially through YouTube, trying to limit our reach, to suppress us, threaten to take our channels off the air. And, sometimes it's a little more damaging than other times. We're still broadcasting for now, but it's been clear they've been going after us. And it's very hard to prove that they've been going after us. But, if you're in the business and if you look at the analytics, you can see it. You know what's going on. Well, now we have a little bit more hard evidence. Thanks to the House Judiciary Committee. Major new report just came out this morning from the House Judiciary Committee. There's going to be a hearing later. Ben is actually going to be testifying at the hearing, along with some big tech muckety-mucks. Can't wait to watch the fireworks. Here's just a little bit from the report that was just released this morning. The Committee on the Judiciary has jurisdiction over the, quote, protection of trade and commerce against unlawful restraints and monopolies. In exercising oversight of the adequacy and sufficiency of existing U.S. antitrust laws, the committee has been investigating apparent collusion within the World Federation of Advertisers and specifically its Global Alliance for Responsible Media initiative. I started ringing the warning bell on the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM, I think something like a year ago at this point. GARM, I'm reading from the report. Through GARM, large corporations, advertising agencies, and industry associations participated in boycotts and other coordinated action to demonetize platforms, podcasts, news outlets, and other content deemed disfavored by GARM and its members. This collusion can have the effect of eliminating a variety of content and viewpoints available to consumers. They have tremendous market power. WFA members represent roughly 90% of global advertising spend, or $1 trillion annually. So these activists, these leftist operatives, have gotten together virtually all of the advertisers in a political organization, and they've started deciding which media outlets they're going to try to kill by restricting advertising dollars, which is the lifeblood of media. So where does DailyWire come into this? DailyWire is specifically mentioned in this report because DailyWire is specifically mentioned by the political operatives who are trying to control speech. Based on a 2022 study conducted by GDI, the Disinformation Index, the group identified the riskiest sites, or those that showed the greatest level of disinformation risk. Those 10 sites included the New York Post, Reason Magazine, Real Clear Politics, the Daily Wire, the Blaze, the American Conservative, the Federalist, and the American Spectator. On the contrary, the list of least risky sites included left-leaning news outlets such as BuzzFeed News and Huffington Post. So you've got well-established outlets. The Daily Wire, about as mainstream as it gets. Real Clear Politics, about as mainstream as it gets. New York Post, founded by Alexander Hamilton. Super duper risky. We've got to choke off their advertising dollars. We've got to suppress their reach. Least risky, totally above board sites. Huffington Post. Huffington Post specifically has defamed me. I know I have experienced firsthand the disinformation from the Huffington Post when they lied about what I said at CPAC 2 years ago. No, but they're the least risky. They get all the advertising dollars. They get all the reach. GARM is led by a number of people, but initiative lead Rob Rakowitz. John Montgomery is the executive vice president of global brand safety. We've got their internal documents, according to this House report. Internal GARM documents produced by the committee show a clear bias that infiltrates GARM's work and favors left-wing sources. In 2021, when Mr. Rakowitz received a question about the Daily Wire, he contacted two individuals from Group M, this one guy, this other guy. Rakowitz asked about the position on the Daily Wire, and he told the two men that GARM is, quote, explicitly nonpartisan and will not deplatform people that might run counter to GARM's worldview. Mr. Montgomery, however, explained how Group M monitors media it does not support, like the Daily Wire, to find something wrong. So they'll say in their documents, oh, no, we're nonpartisan. We're not going to try to destroy you just because we disagree with your political views. But you know what we are going to do? We're going to watch you real closely, and then we're just going to find something. It's like if a cop starts following a guy driving down the road. Any cop will tell you, you follow a guy for 2 miles, the cop can find some reason to pull you over. That's what this is, which is why on certain big tech platforms, when political pressure has gotten intense, they will suppress my reach. I'm speaking personally here, or they'll try to take my channel off air entirely. And very often the way they'll do it is not based on anything that I've said recently. It'll be something I said a year ago, 2 years ago. They'll have some operative dig all the way back to find something that also was totally unobjectionable, but they can find a way that it somehow violates some policy ex post facto. That would appear to be what GARM is doing. Why is this all happening now? Because it's 2024, and this is only going to get worse, and especially that we've got a Democrat nominee whose brain is applesauce. The only thing that the Democrats can do, I guess they can try to imprison Trump. That'll only help him. The Democrats can try to rig the election. At this point, I don't even think it's possible. Even Democrats are good at rigging elections. The gap in polling is just too great at the moment, especially in the swing states. So I guess the last thing they can try to do, other than banish Trump to St. Helena, is to cut off all the sources of information to conservatives and to people in the middle and even people on the center left. It worked with the Hunter Biden laptop story. After the big tech colluded to shut down the Hunter Biden laptop story, all of a sudden, Joe Biden, I guess, wins the election. And then there's a poll conducted afterwards, which shows that 12% of Biden voters said, had they known about the Hunter Biden laptop story and seen all the crimes that the Biden family appears to have committed, they would not have voted for Biden. So the big tech censorship worked. They want to do it again. We need political action to stop it. The survival of the Daily Wire perhaps depends on this. The survival of conservative media perhaps depends on this. But even beyond any of these businesses. The survival of a free public square of the American political order depends on this. Great work from the Judiciary Committee, and I look forward to seeing our big tech overlords raked over the coals, and I really hope that something actually is done to stop them from doing what they're doing. Every man needs a razor that works. Jeremy's second-gen razors are here. They are a #1 bestseller on Amazon. What makes these razors so great? First off, the second-gen razors are radically redesigned. The blades are sharper and longer lasting, providing you the smoothest shave every time. Did I mention they're not made in China? With Jeremy's, you have options, like the Sprint 3, perfect for a quick, clean shave, while the new and improved Precision 5 is your go-to for an exceptionally smooth and close shave. So let the other companies spend their money on DEI and woke ideology. Jeremy's razors focuses on what really matters, delivering a superior shave. Head over to Amazon right now, grab one of these best-selling razors, and find even more great Jeremy's products. My favorite comment yesterday is from John Doe, but it's Doe spelled in a French way, 95. The real question is why that wasn't a felony already. I think this is referring to this proposal in California to raise soliciting from kids from a misdemeanor to a felony. Why wasn't that a felony already? Because the liberals in California are too busy trying to decriminalize such actions. Are you kidding me? State Senator Anthony Weiner made his political notoriety on trying to reduce punishments for pederasts. California is going a very different direction, amigo. Speaking of big tech, totally outside of the partisan political fight right now, there's a new report out of England that 94% of AI-written college exams go undetected. And I've wondered about this for a while. I don't work in the education field. I graduated college before artificial intelligence was around. But I wondered, how do professors run their classes now? It seems if I can go into AI and say, write me an epic poem in the style of Tasso, with these 5 elements to it, and then also put it to music, and then also make a music video out of it, and have it star Scarlett Johansson. And I can click a button, and in about 7 minutes, I can get all of those things. Does anyone write papers anymore in school? There were AI detectors, or at least plagiarism detectors, but those don't even really work, according to this report. And furthermore, according to the report, the AI does better on college exams than the actual students do. So what does this mean for education? It means either that university education is going to become even more preposterous, that you're going to pay $60,000, $70,000 a year to go and party, and then every so often you'll have to click a button to generate some paper, and then, I don't know, probably the teacher will then plug the paper into AI and have the AI grade the paper, and everyone, just computers will do everything, and the people will just be superfluous so they can go around and, I don't know, the kids can party and the professors can go to conferences and party, and no one really does any work. Or, I have actually a more hopeful view of it. The answer, if you still want to educate students, the answer is you're going to need much more in-person learning, which runs counter to the liberal narrative. We were told, especially after COVID, all education, man, it's going to go online. What do we need university campuses for anymore? We can just do it all online. What do we need papers and pencils and physical books? And you don't need any of that stuff anymore, man. We just do it all online. What do we need our bodies for? We don't need our body. You can just plug your brain into the matrix and you can pretend to be the opposite sex or an orangutan, or I don't know. You can just everything will be virtual, right? No, because if that's the case, you won't know anything. I remember even when I was a kid, we were flattered by our teachers. They said, "You have more information at your fingertips than Plato or Aristotle did." I thought that's true, but we don't know anything. I know much less than Plato and Aristotle, even though I have a magical iPhone. Even though I have a calculator, but I still know much less than them because I don't really know it. And one of the crises of education is people don't even know how to know anymore. They don't even know how to go about asking the questions that will lead you to information that you don't even think to inquire into. So the hopeful bit to me is AI has completely destroyed whatever last remnant of a serious education existed in the modern university system. That's over. So, ironically, what we're going to need is more in person. What we're going to need is more physical presence in education. What we're going to need is more time. What we're going to need is more physical books and physical pens and paper and exam rooms and timers and meeting together, and to prove that you're not just plugging stuff into AI. But two, you need that because that's how human nature works. We are bodies and souls. And so much of the last few decades has been a denial of the body, so much so now that we pretend that a man can really be a woman, that the body has nothing to do with who we are. But the body is really part of it. Time, contingency, flesh, stuff, that's part of your life. And you won't be an educated person without it. You'll say, I've got every lecture in the world is available to me on YouTube. I could be the most educated person in the world, but you won't be, because that's not how we really learn. We learn by being in physical contact with people and imitating them and picking up their impulses and asking questions off the cuff and being forced to memorize things and being forced to recite things and being forced to write them down in little blue books in exam rooms. The future, it turns out, is the past, or it's a lot closer to the past than people imagine the future to be. Now, speaking of proper education, this is a story I meant to get to last week, and I do want to get to it now. Pope Francis, he said some things that raise a lot of eyebrows. He said some things that make one chuckle, like when he was calling for fewer homosexuals in seminaries a few weeks ago because there was c'è già troppo. Basta con la being the word for it. We'll probably have to bleep this out in the show, but the nearest translation from the Italian is So you never know exactly what you're going to get in these political statements of the Pope. But he just made an important point. He was addressing the United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, and he twice said that drug dealers are murderers. He said drugs trample on human dignity, that reduction in drug addiction is not achieved by liberalizing drug use, as many of the leftists and the libertarians would say. He said that that's a total fantasy. He's absolutely right. He says it's like this. You liberalize and drugs are consumed even more. That's true. He calls drug traffickers of death, driven by the logic of power and money at any cost. It's true. Trade human life for just a little bit of money, not even all that much money. And the scourge, he says, which produces violence and sows suffering and death, demands an act of courage from our society as a whole. It's very true. We all know people who've died from illegal drugs. I agree that drug dealers should be treated as akin to murderers. And tying it back to what we were just talking about, we have this idea that in the future, everything's going to be totally different. Oh, you don't understand the future. It's going to be, you're just, fogey, fuddy-duddy conservatives, you're stuck in the past. The future's going to be totally different. Eternal truths remain, which is why conservatism, traditionalism endures, because it's not about old dusty stuff. It's about the truths that have endured. And this is true. The modern liberal people, they say, no, actually, we've just discovered that when you legalize bad things and you even incentivize bad things in some cases, you get less of it somehow through some magical economics or something. No, you don't. Those basic truths are still true. Drugs are bad. Being an addict is bad. Government exists to set the conditions for human flourishing, do good and avoid evil. It's all still true. And hearing this from the sole institution in the West to survive since antiquity and continue to thrive in modernity should make us listen. For more information about what's about to happen, you're not going to come to the member block, because right now Ben is testifying on behalf of the DailyWire before Congress about how big tech is trying to destroy us. Go to dailywire.com, click on the banner to watch, get the latest updates. I'm Michael Knowles. I'll see you tomorrow.